Hello everybody, good morning and welcome to the United Stands. I'm Mark Goldbridge and this is your latest Manchester United news and transfer news. And we've got a big show for you this morning as Karim Benzema demands a move and Manchester United could be the perfect fit. Anthony Martial frozen out. Well, it's frozen outside at the moment, let me tell you that. And also, this developing story, which I don't actually massively give a shit about, but everyone else seems to, about Qatar. They're demanding a corrective statement from the SEC in America. There are some United fans out there that are just reveling in believing the Glazers. It's amazing, you know. I said last night on Twitter, there's something not right about this. It just feels very fishy. It feels like a bit of spin. You know, on the day that £30 million goes out the club for the Glazers to pay off all this, which they could have paid out of their own pocket, we suddenly hear that the Qatar bid was fake. But nobody leaked that for the last 12 months. I just think it's all very fishy. To which I've had people I know in the space, people who just always like to take a dig in the space, trying to sort of call me out for it. But I'm not interested in your little petty arguments. There seems to be a lot of one-upmanship in this fan base at the moment. I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in the truth, and I'm interested in what's best for Manchester United. And if you want to take a pop at me to try and get a few clicks, you know, I'm used to it. It's been going on for years. But the bottom line is, I'm not changing my opinion. I think there's something very, very fishy about this. And in my life, I've been taught that don't just believe everything you get told, especially when it doesn't feel like it might be right. So I await the truth. I await the truth on that, and we'll discuss that because Qatar are now coming out demanding the truth that they did have the money. And to me, I just think it's all a bit dodgy. And why would I believe? And ultimately, above all of that, why would I believe the Glazers? Why would anybody believe the Glazers? This has got nothing to do with Ineos, by the way. The Ineos have got nothing to do with this. Ineos are buying 25% of the club. They don't give the detail to the SEC in America about the sale process. It's got nothing to do with Ineos, and people shouldn't be involving Ineos in it at all. So look, we'll talk about that in a little bit, but I want to talk about some transfer news, of course. I also want to say, I'm glad to be wearing it. You can get yours delivered worldwide, of course, on the United Stand Shopify. But it's his birthday today. It's the butcher's birthday. So I've got me hoodie on. Happy birthday to Lissandro Martinez, who's 26 today. Let's hope he's over his injury problems and back in the United team where we need him to be. So big birthday and hopefully a big second half to the season for Lissandro. We definitely need him. But before we get into all that Qatar stuff, because we're going to get bogged down in that for about 10 minutes, let's talk about some transfer news. And Benzema, this is an interesting story. Now, does it end up with him at Manchester United? Well, you just don't know with United, right? The latest out of Manchester United around a transfer and a striker, and I put it out yesterday morning, and now, funnily enough, there's a few outlets who are basically saying the same thing. I said yesterday morning, in the next 10 days, so not the next 13 days, because in the 13 days, the transfer window's closed. So the next 9 days now, there will be developments around the striker situation. Watch this space with Martial. Within a few hours of me saying that yesterday morning on Twitter, it comes out that Martial is training on his own and has been frozen out, and United are looking to bring a striker in on loan. I don't get information and put it out on Twitter and just pull it from my arse. And lo and behold, within a few hours of that being said, it came out. Because United do want to bring a striker in and they do want to get rid of Martial. So Anthony Martial is literally frozen out at the moment. He's not ill. He's not injured. He's not deemed fit enough to train with the first team since his illness. So I don't know what that's all about. I don't know what that's all about. And I retain an affection for Anthony Martial. I think he's been misunderstood. I think he's been treated badly by certain ex-players in the media who seem to have a dislike for him from day one. And I think the problem with Martial over the last 18 months has been injury. But I will admit there is something, again, fishy going on there, because if he's fit and, you know, he's not able to train with the first team, what's going on? You know, how has that situation been allowed to develop again? And again, it reflects badly on the leadership. I've got to say, when you've got a player on £200,000 a week who's not training enough to be fit to play for the first team, yeah, big step. Go and train on your own. But also, you're telling me he's just turned up after 2 weeks and he's had a good Christmas. Like, we should be monitoring what's going on with our fitness department, what's going on with our coaching set work, what's going on with our discipline. That a footballer, because you don't just go training one day with the first team and then the next day Ten Hag goes, oh, he's a bit unfit. That's a decline. How's he been allowed to decline in fitness to a point that he's not injured, he's just not fit enough to train? So this reflects badly on the club again. It does. It reflects badly on the club, and it's another thing that Ineos and Sir David Brailsford especially will be looking at. But the situation is what it is. Anthony Martial is training on his own and not fit enough to train with the first team at the moment. Now, hopefully he can sort that out, and hopefully it's a kick up the arse for him to move, because United want to move on. They're looking at loan options, and effectively the name Benzema, which was more of a fan theory. I've got to be honest, the Benzema story was more of a fan theory because there was this belief that there was going to be an influx of loan players from Saudi Arabia, but it's not easy to do. Benzema's got 2.5 years left on a 3-year contract where he's rumoured to be earning around £1 million a week. So, for one, there's nothing that benefits the Saudi League to say, we got that wrong, he's now on loan at Newcastle or Man United. They wouldn't pay for him to do that. So Newcastle or Man United can't afford £1 million a week either. Neither can Chelsea. So it's a complete non-starter. It's a complete non-starter. Apart from two things. First of all, Benzema wants out and wants to leave Saudi. He's not enjoying it. That's always a big factor. Second of all, Jordan Henderson. Jordan Henderson has somehow got himself out of a massive contract with massive wages, where a transfer fee was paid, and he is now going to play for Ajax. Now, apparently he's done this through deferred wages and all sorts of, agreements that have gone on. So if Jordan Henderson can do that, then Karim Benzema can do that as well. So it's not impossible that Benzema finds a way out of the Saudi League and back into Europe. And if he does do that, then I think the Premier League is the most logical place he will come, because the Premier League will pay him the best wages. He's not going to go back to Real Madrid. He can't go to Barcelona. Maybe PSG, but do they really want to do that sort of thing again? So I think if Benzema is determined to get out like Jordan Henderson, he will get out. And if he gets out, he will come to the Premier League. And if he comes to the Premier League, then you've got Arsenal, Chelsea, Manchester United, and maybe Newcastle, who need strikers. And we would be talking about a loan deal. I don't think any club is really going to say, let's take Benzema on a long deal. So I wouldn't be surprised if Benzema is loaned this in the next few days to the Premier League. The question is, could it be Manchester United? Well, I think the big problem that we would have is where we find the money to do that. We were speaking to Fabrizio on Monday, live on the show, and he said about Malen that Man United like Malen, but they don't like the price. Well, Malen's price as a loan is not going to be anywhere near what we play for Benzema. So I like... Look, would you take Benzema at Man United? I don't need to do a poll on this. I mean, he'd be perfect. He'd be absolutely perfect. He's only going to be here for a few months. He's going to be exactly what Rasmus needs. Share the load. A player that Rasmus can learn off. Probably one of the best strikers in the world in the last 5 years to learn from. I mean, what he did in that Real Madrid side that won the Champions League when no one thought they could. Just brilliant at, holding the line, unselfish striker, scores goals. So I think Benzema would be perfect. Perfect. Rasmus does need a little bit of experience around him. So it would be perfect. Absolutely perfect. Kev the Red says, but he's 36, Mark. He is 36, but we're only talking about a 5-month loan deal. I wouldn't be looking at any longer than that. United, it would be a massive boost as well. Benzema knows Varane, he knows Casemiro. He's still going to be a world-class addition to the squad. Reminds me of sort of what we did with Henrik Larsson all those years ago. It would be good, but, and there is a big nicky but here, it's not something I even think we will do. It's not impossible, but it's just not something I think United can afford to do. If I was Ineos, I would be saying to United, this is a good deal to do. This is a very good deal to do. The benefits of doing this for 5 months are huge. It's a huge, look at shirt sales, etc. But not that. Footballing point of view, bringing a striker in like that to a dressing room that needs it. would boost the dressing room. It would boost the manager. It would be great for Rasmus. It would be great for the front line. He's got a great relationship with Casemiro and Varane, straight down the spine. Win, 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 win. We could win the FA Cup. We might, have a late assault on the European spots. To me, I would do it. But I think United will look at it and go, financially, that doesn't work for us. Let's go and get Choupo-Moting. And I think that's what will happen. But look, if you'd said to me 2 days ago, I'd have said absolutely no chance. Saudi Arabia will not let it happen. He's on too much money. How does anybody do that deal? But what Jordan Henderson has done has shown that you can get out of a very lucrative, long, binding contract and get out if you want to. And if Benzema wants to get out, he will get out. And if he gets out, I believe he'll be in the Premier League on loan until the summer. And if he does, then Manchester United could well be an option for it. Look, some people are not happy about it. They're saying retirement home FC. So let's just run a quick poll. Would you take Benzema on loan? I mean, the alternatives are really going to be nobody or Choupo-Moting or keep Anthony Martial, if I'm being completely honest with you. What about getting no service? Oh, yes, I forgot to mention that. Last couple of days, we've had a little bit of a stat line. We've got a little bit of a stat line later on about shots on target and where Man United's forwards rank. Robert McCormack says, he ain't coming to rotate though, is he? Says Robert. Great point, Robert. You know what? It's a consideration. What impact would it have on Rasmus if we bring a striker in full stop, whether it be Choupo-Moting, whether it be Benzema? I don't think it really matters, Robert, because, look at the way football is now. If you are Rasmus and you're playing up front in the Premier League, or the FA Cup or whatever, these games are going on they're not 90-minute games anymore. They're about 110 minutes sometimes. That's nearly 2 hours of football. So what we're seeing now is we're seeing a lot more substitutes around the 60, 70 mark. And then if you are say Benzema starts and Rasmus comes on 65 minutes, he's going to get about 35, 40 minutes anyway as a sub. So I don't think that is massive. And also, Benzema's not going to come into the team and be ready to go straight away, is he? So I still think Rasmus would be the starter and Benzema would, gradually have to get in, and then you share the role. And it's such a short period of time. I don't think that would be a massive problem. And then I think in the summer, the big thing for me is I think Rasmus does need a little bit of support. I think it's a very, very big ask to ask him to deliver. Just in relation to Martial, by the way, this is where the story was coming from, numerous outlets, but Anthony Martial has been told to train on his own to improve his fitness before Ten Hag will consider picking him for Manchester United. Martial is not injured, but is deemed not fit enough to train with his teammates. Absolutely, spot on. But look, the Benzema thing, people can talk about how perfect it would be, how bad it would be, etc., etc. But the point remains is Manchester United would need to find the money to do that, and I don't know how. I don't really know how they would do that, which is interesting, of course. Just seeing what Beth's saying on Twitter. Beth says people will say, why is Ten Hag disciplining X when X is terrible weekly? There is absolutely no doubt some regular players for Ten Hag are way below par, but I think Ten Hag is disciplining players first and foremost based on the basics, attitude, fitness and timekeeping. Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think that, I'm sure a lot of us would like to see certain players disciplined around United, but I think that this is about people turning up for training and doing things correctly, isn't it? Right, let's talk about this Qatar story. A lot of people are talking about this. I mean, you know what? I need a bulletproof vest. The shots people have been taking at me overnight, and it's almost like you can't have a bloody opinion, isn't it? I think what we have in the fan base, and we've seen it over the last 12 months, and I must just say this right at the start, I don't really care anymore. When the truth comes out, I'll take the truth, but I'm not convinced that we're really getting the truth at the moment. I feel like I've banged my head there. That's bloody wrestling with Seb, that is. He did. He whacked me into the bloody sofa. I knew it. The reality is, I don't really care anymore because Ineos are going to own 25% of the club and the Glazers have won. So what we're arguing over here, really, I don't really get, as I said last night. But let me just tell you what the SEC is. It's the Securities and Exchange Commission. They're based in America, and it's the US government agency in charge of the nation's securities industry. It monitors transactions as well as the activities of financial professionals, and its mission is to promote fairness, integrity, and transparency, prevent fraud and other deceptive acts, and ensure orderly and efficient markets. So they've been in existence since 1929 when the stock exchange crashed in America. So the Securities Exchange Act and the Securities and Exchange Commission, which is what SEC is not the Daily Mail. This is a credible financial catch mule. And when they put their findings out about this Manchester United sale yesterday and said that, well, it led people to believe that the Qatari bid wasn't what it seemed and was never what it seemed, then, of course, I understand why people take that and go, ha, the Qatar bid was never real. We all should have been behind Sir Jim in the first place. And I'm like, I don't agree with that. Whether the bid's real or not, I wanted a full sale. And Sir Jim hasn't got a full sale. So I don't really understand what the win here is for the people that wanted the Glazers to stay. Because we wanted a full sale. And the only people that wanted a full sale apparently couldn't do it, which was Qatar. So that's where we were last night. I don't really understand what people were arguing about. However, very interesting. Ben Jacobs has led from the front on this, and you've got to give him his credit. We've had him on the show a few times, and he's been very, very, very well informed on this. And a lot of the times Ben was on, he did get a lot of criticism for being, anti-Qatar and pro Ineos, which I don't think he ever was, but I think just some people read his tweets as that, but they weren't. So he put out last night this. Sheikh Jassim's bid team are now seeking a corrective statement from the SEC filing. The filing, which is made by Man United PLC unilaterally, without consulting or having to verify with other parties, refrains from disclosing the most basic and irrefutable facts, both about the financial guarantees given and the level of offers made, all of which are fully documented. Inquiries are being made with the SEC as to a corrective statement of fact. It is also curious to note the widespread media reporting of the inflated level of the other competing bid at the time and how that stacks up to reality today. So basically, Qatar are coming out and saying that we refute what the SEC has put out there because they're just putting out there what Man United's put out there and told them to put out there. I mean, this is really interesting because if Man United have put misinformation out through the SEC, there's fines and potential prison sentences. So it's just all a bloody big mess, really. If they've lied, AK says if they've lied to the SEC, the Glazers are in big trouble. The way I feel this morning, I'm just sort of like, this is just incredible. It's incredible. And I think that the bottom line is there are some United fans out there who are getting a stiffy off this. They really are excited that the Qatari bid may not have been real because they always wanted the Glazers to stay. That's what they wanted. Or they wanted this Sir Jim full sale, which was never going to happen. Obviously, it hasn't happened. But for me, I'm just like, do you wake up in the morning in a false reality? You've already won. The Glazers have won. Does it really matter whether the Qatari bid was written on a piece of paper or it was officially put on an email? I mean, that's what we're arguing about here. And I don't for 1 minute think the Qatari nation didn't have the money to buy Manchester United, considering they're one of the wealthiest nations in the world. And I don't for 1 minute think that we found out that the Qatari bid is fake because of an SEC report 14 months after they got linked to buy Man United. I mean, I'll tell you a story. Up until Sir Jim won this, from November 22 to November 23, 12 months, you couldn't move for journalists, ex-players, business journalists in the nose, trying desperately to get information on this sale on a daily basis, emailing Ineos, contacting people who knew Ineos, contacting people who knew the Qataris, desperately trying to get information from anywhere they could get information. For 12 months, credible journalists, credible media outlets, you know, people in the know, everybody was trying to get information for 12 months about who was going to win the race. And you're telling me the SEC have dropped a statement yesterday saying the Qatari bid wasn't real. But for 12 months, nobody figured out that it wasn't real. Because it was real. It was real. And people trying to pretend it's not real now are having a bloody laugh. It would have come out if it wasn't real. There were so many people involved. Ineos could have put it out there that it wasn't real and boosted their own bid. The Glazers could have put it out there that it wasn't real to boost the fact that they were going to stay. This is a nonsense that we're being fed at the moment, that Qatari bid wasn't real. Of course it was real. The detail of the bid, well, look, let them argue about it. They didn't win. They didn't win. Many of you said if they wanted the club, they should have offered 10 billion if they were that interested. But I don't believe for 1 minute that the Glazers would have sold to the Qataris, and that came out yesterday that they would have sold. I don't for 1 minute think that the Glazers would have sold to Qatar. I don't for 1 minute think they would have sold the club to Sajim. I think they wanted an investor. They found an investor and they wanted to stay. They've taken £30 million out of this football club in the last few weeks to pay for their legal fees that could have been used for stadium improvements, a centre-back, a striker. That's 30 million out of the club that they've taken for their own benefit. That's a fact. And I think the fact is that whether Qatar get a corrective statement or not, what will it matter? What will it matter at the end of the day? If Qatar get a corrective statement that they had the money, they wanted to buy the club, and the Glazers went with Sajim, what does it really matter? Who's going to get to say, I told you so? It won't matter. The Glazers have won. They've got what they wanted. We have to hope that Ineos, in the parameters of the deal they've done, can make Manchester United successful. And we spoke about that last night. But I'm massively, massively confused by the debate that is raging on social media about, what you talking about, spin? Everybody who wanted Qatar, I was right. I mean, at the end of the day, let me just break this down. You've got certain United fans celebrating the fact that Qatar bid may not have been real and ridiculing people who wanted that bid because the Glazers won. I don't even understand what their argument is. You know, who's won here? So the people who wanted Qatar have lost, yeah. And the people who are mocking them wanted the Glazers to stay? They didn't want the Glazers to stay, did they? I thought they wanted a full sale. I thought they were marching for Glazers out. So I don't really understand what the argument is. And also, I know there were people saying oil me up, but as somebody who would have taken the Qatar bid over this, that was because it was a full sale. I just wanted a full sale. It wasn't Qatar. It could have been Elon Musk. It could have been Amazon. It could have been Apple. It could have been Sajim. I don't really care who the full sale was, as long as it was a full sale. The Glazers went, the debt was cleared, and money came in. That's what I wanted, and I've been very clear about that for probably 8 years. I've always said, since we started doing the United Stand, that the way forward for me, for Man United, was the Glazers gone, clearance of the debt, and money spent on a whole range of things. That's what I wanted. We haven't got that. The reality is, our eggs are in the basket of Ineos, and I hope it works out. And can I just say as well, in total fairness, this has got nothing to do with Ineos or Sir Jim Radcliffe. This is the SEC putting the findings of Man United PLC, which is the Glazers, about the sale process. Sir Jim's not involved in that. He doesn't file that. He doesn't have anything to do with that. So no eggs should be thrown at Ineos or Sir Jim about this. This is quite simply the Glazers filing the results of the sale to SEC, who have published them, and now Qatar are saying they're not accurate. And that's what's going on here in a very simple sense. It's got nothing to do with Ineos. It's got nothing to do with Sir Jim Radcliffe. This is about Manchester United filing the detail of the sale to the SEC, who have published it, and Qatar are saying that's not accurate. That's what's going on here. So it's the Glazers versus Qatar. It's not Ineos versus Qatar. Sir Jim's got nothing to do with this. Let's have a look what people are saying on the show this morning. We're gonna go to stats in a minute as well. Nick P says the SEC are completely clueless. It's a constant battle in the crypto space for clarity. They get their info from a serial packet. Oh no, but Nick, let me just be careful here. We've got hipsters who do compilations of tactics. We've got other United channels. We've got other United websites. We've got top Reds. We've got United fans telling me the SEC are closed and shut. What they say goes. They probably didn't even know what the SEC was 2 days ago, but now, when the SEC say something, it's closed and shut, Mark. You don't know what you're on about. So I come out saying, this smells fishy, it smells of spin, but half our fan base want to believe something they only heard about 2 days ago and side with the Glazers. I'm sorry, when it's there in black and white and unrefuted, I'll believe it. I've got no problem with it, but I don't, at the moment, believe it. I think it's very fishy. I think it's very, very fishy. But ultimately, as well, as I said at the start, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether Qatar had the money or not. They didn't buy the club. The Glazers kept the club. So I don't really know what we're arguing about. It feels to me like everyone who's arguing about it on the Glazer side is a Glazer. And everybody who's saying, I don't really believe it, is somebody that actually wanted what we wanted, which was a full sale. But we lost. We didn't get a full sale. They won. The Glazers are staying. We have to hope that the thing in the middle, which has got nothing to do with this, Ineos, somehow makes us successful and removes the Glazers at some point in the future. But it's a weird argument that I just don't understand. And I guarantee I'll be being clipped up all day by these bloody top Reds and Glazerites and weirdos who suddenly think that the SEC and United are the dog's bollocks, and the Qatari bid was a fake. But they never said it was a fake for 12 months, did they? It's just all very weird. Surely if the Qatari bid wasn't real, Sir Jim would have been in months ago, says Jordan White. Well, yeah, I just don't get the fact that for 12 months, every news outlet, from Bloomberg to Sky News to Reuters, were doing articles on Qatar and Ineos. These are the most credible business outlets in the world, talking in detail about the Qatari bid and the Ineos bid. And everything that they said was correct about Sir Jim's bid. 100%, 70%, 50%, 25%. But they got it completely wrong about the Qatari bid. It wasn't real. I don't believe that. I fundamentally do not believe that the Qatari bid was fake. And anybody who thinks it is, I think's a bit of a clown. How much they were offering, I think that's up for debate. But I just can't believe that people think it was fake. Instead of Benzema, we should get Garassi now, says Colin. Well, Garassi is going to have to be a permanent signing. It would be 15 million quid. And you would be stuck with that player for the next 4 or 5 years. So for me, that's not the right thing to do. Sassy says, are you hearing yourself? Yes, I am, mate. I'll break it down like this for you, okay? I will break it down and then we will move on to something football related. The Glazers put the club up for sale. Ineos and Qatar were the two leading candidates for nearly 12 months. Throughout that time, it was heavily reported by every credible business outlet, football outlet, everybody. They even visited Old Trafford, that those two were the candidates. People are now saying that the Qatari bid was fake. And yet, we saw pictures of them being showed round Carrington and Manchester United. Reuters, Bloomberg, Sky News, Business spoke about it. The bid's not fake. The SEC have come out and said that there was issues around the viability of how much they were going to offer. Qatar have come out and said that's nonsense. That's where we are. That's where we're at. That's basically it. There's more detail and clarity in there, of course. And as I said, the SEC is meant to be closed and shut, watertight. That's where we're at. But I don't really get the conflict. I don't really get the argument. The Glazers have won. Ineos have got 25%, and we've got to move forward with that. What does it matter that people wanted a full sale and they didn't get it? I'm struggling big time with the argument. In fact, I think the only people arguing are, the very passionate, and we must respect it, but the very passionate people that didn't want Qatar are feeling very justified and happy in sticking the knife in on the people that wanted a full sale. That's what's going on here. There's a lot of smugness. There's a lot of told you so. But we've already been through this 2 months ago. You won. The Glazers are staying. You didn't get a full sale. You didn't get Qatar. Let's move on. I think most people that wanted a full sale have accepted the fact that we've got Ineos. There's been some encouraging noise coming out of them. We have to get behind them because there's no alternative. We need to move forward. And I think this whole Qatari bid thing is, you know, somebody even said on social media, is it being put out there to, you know, as positive PR for Ineos? No, of course it's not. It's a bloody American stock exchange authority putting the findings of the sale out there. I mean, it's not got nothing to do with Ineos. I don't buy anything with that. Doesn't make sense. Surely they would have made it down to the last two before that cut-off date mid last year, says Dan. Yeah, there's a lot of conjecture. There's a lot of rumour, and I'm sure we've not heard the end of it. But you know, it is weird. It is weird, but you know, the bottom line is it's done now, as Tina G says. Let me just grab some of your points because there's a lot of people talking anyway. I can't speak, Mark says an answer. If the bid was fake, don't you think Qatar would have let everyone know that at the time, says Halsey. It wasn't fake, says Pomo. Jazim never proved his ability to buy the club through proof of funds. Yes, and I think that's the main thing. But there's a lot of people trying to make out that it's an AI-generated image, that the bid was never real. And as Pom says, because the SEC are basically saying that Sheikh Jazim never proved his ability to buy the club through proof of funds, people are trying to say it's a fake bid. But, I mean, that's a massive leap. That's a massive leap. And obviously Qatar are denying that. They're denying that. They're saying that they did have the proof of funds. So, I don't know. Glenny Boy says, it sounds like the biggest issue during the wholesale process was the A and B share structure, and right to the end was preventing a deal, says Glenny Boy. Yeah. And United problem is deeper than you think, and I think Sir Alex has a hand in it also, says Mark Maxwell. Sheikh Jazim is not at fault. Fans confusing Qatar to Sheikh Jazim Foundation actually made it worse. Fake, says Visa. And Satyam says it doesn't actually matter when all said and done now, does it? Exactly. Geordie says the people being smug on X are weird to me, probably because Brexit means Brexit rather than the future of United, says Geordie. Well, look, the way I look at this deal, right, is I don't think anybody actually won. I don't think Sir Jim won. Qatar certainly didn't win, and I don't think any United fan won. The way I look at this deal, and people will moan about what I'm about to say, but the way I look at this deal is in a very pragmatic way. I wanted a full sale, and I wanted Qatar because they represented a full sale, and it didn't happen, and I lost, and I dealt with that 3 months ago. So Jim's come in. I'm realistic. I'm not going to dwell on the past. We have to get behind Sir Jim. I'm not trusting of the bid, but I have to get behind it and hope. And that's where I am. I'm very pragmatic. I'm very focused on what they're going to do. And I don't really hold any resentment or bitterness. We are where we are. But when I look at the wholesale process, I don't think anybody won. And it amazes me that some of our fans think they did. I think the only people that win and really celebrate are the people that are in the pocket of the Glazers and actually appreciate the Glazers for whatever reason I'll never understand. Because the people who actually won here, it's glaringly obvious the only people that won were the Glazers. So any United fan that's celebrating this news or anything else, or even Sir Jim winning, technically I see them as a Glazer fan because I don't think Sir Jim won. I don't think Sir Jim got what he wanted. He wanted to buy all of the club. He's got 25%. He doesn't own it. Qatar obviously lost. Who won? If you've got three people in the race, who won? The Glazers, Sir Jim, or Qatar? Qatar didn't get anything. They lost. Sir Jim won 25% but didn't get everything. The Glazers lose a little bit of ownership but maintain majority and are still here. There's only one set of people who won here, and it's the Glazers. Now, if in the future Sir Jim's 25% leads to majority ownership, then yeah, Sir Jim wins. But we've got no pathway to that. There's no press about that. There's no commitment to that. The Glazers don't have to do that. There is no pathway to full ownership for Sir Jim. Otherwise, it would have come out. So Qatar lost, Sir Jim won a little bit, and the Glazers won a lot. That's what happened. And you can get into these pointless arguments with each other. You can get into these pointless arguments with sanctimonious people who think they know what they're on about. But ultimately, maybe what someone said in the chat's right. Brexit means Brexit. They didn't want Qatar because it's the Middle East. They wanted Sir Jim because he's British. I don't know. And maybe that 25% makes them feel like they won. But the real winners are the Glazers. They still own the football club. They put the club up for sale in November 22. They put another line in there about we're looking at it for investors as well. They got their investor. They stay in charge of the football club. They won. We have to deal with it and hope that Ineos can somehow, with control of the footballing side, make United successful despite the fact that the Glazers are still here. And that's the bottom line, isn't it? We are now in a situation where we hope that Sir Jim and Ineos, with their amount of control, can make Man United successful despite the Glazers still being here. And that's where we are. That's the truth. And if anybody wants to have an argument about that or a debate about that, let's bring it on. You know, I don't care who it is. Simon Jordan, Must, whoever. You know, I'd happily sit and have that conversation because I'm not moving away from that position that the Glazers are the big winners here, nobody else. I just hope that Ineos and Sir Jim can make us successful because it's all we got. It's all we got. Dazzo says, we all know these Qatar folk are loaded. They don't have to prove 5 billion. These guys make it every year. Chunk says, you should look into cryptocurrency donations, Mark. Take it to a whole new level. And the people smug on it. We've done that from Geordie as well. We are not signing Benzema. Wake up. Okay, David, we need a bit of this. David says, we are not signing Benzema. Wake up. This football club is dead. Radcliffe ain't doing nothing. Same old continues. Okay, David, it's nearly the weekend. Jody says, if you think Sir Jim Radcliffe and the Glazers will have any kind of success, you're naive. Well, look, I'm not discluding that. I mean, I will hammer this home this morning like a carpenter whacking a nail into a piece of wood. This has got nothing to do with Sir Jim. This has got nothing to do with Ineos. This is a battle now between the Glazers and Qatar. And does it really matter? But it's not about Sir Jim. You know, this whole SEC thing, whether they had the money or not, this is the Glazers against the Qataris. What I will say is that it's massively beneficial for the Glazers to discredit Qatar when they've done a deal with Sir Jim. Of course it is. Everybody knows that. It doesn't mean the SEC are, well, they can't. Surely they can't be putting out false information, and that needs to be the right information. But let's not mess around here. When you're trying to build a new future, it's very good to discredit the alternative future, isn't it? You know, it's like the Conservatives against the Labour Party in the UK. If it was really close in a general election and one of them win, the best thing they can do is discredit the alternative so that people don't think, oh, maybe the alternative would have been better. Politically or not, PR or not, factual or not, it is absolutely perfect for the Glazers to discredit the Qatari bid because it makes people go, well, that wasn't an option anyway. It's like tomorrow night, Friday night, isn't it? You know, you get home from work, your missus, your husband, your mum, your dad, say the options, I think we're going to have a curry or a Chinese. And you're like, oh, I really want a Chinese. And he comes home with an Indian takeaway. And you go, oh, but I wanted the Chinese. It was shut. And they've been shut down. It was giving people food poisoning. And you go, well, I'm very happy with my Indian takeaway. Thank you very much. That's what we're talking about here. It's rule number one when you have a deal that happens and you're not certain. The one you take, you discredit the other one. So, look, that to me is completely logical. But we are dealing with the SEC, so I don't know. Kev's in the chat. Lovely to see. Hope you're doing well, Kev. Benzema would demand more service and have some claim to it, whereas Rasmus is too young and doesn't have the career to back him up. Can the Glazers be forced to sell if they are found to be lying and discrediting Qatar with false information? No, of course they can't. And Jake Harrison says it's clear now if it wasn't Sir Jim, it would be a faceless investment fund because Qatar was never happening. Jake, you know, that's one of the things I think Jake's just made a great point, one of our members in the chat. Thank you very much to the members this morning. Nice to see the badgers in the chat supporting the channel. And don't forget, if you want to get one of these, it is the Butcher's birthday today as well. You can get them on United Stand Shopify. But great point by Jake. It came out yesterday that there was a number of people interested in buying Manchester United. And of course, people were very focused on it being Sir Jim or the Qatari bid with Sheikh Jassim. But there were others. There were others, and he's absolutely correct there that there are people. There were people there who were investors looking to get into Manchester United. So I would take the positive here, because you have to. I don't think the Glazers, and I will argue this with anybody, I don't think the Glazers, and it's not a hot take, I don't think the Glazers were ever going to sell Manchester United. I mean, get in the chat if you disagree with me. I don't think the Glazers were ever going to sell Manchester United. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I don't believe that they were ever going to sell Manchester United, right? So let's just take that as read. I don't believe they were going to sell Manchester United. So, if they were never going to sell Man United, and Qatar were never going to do what Sir Jim's done, they were never going to do 25%, 50%. They wouldn't do that. Look at the Saudi Arabian ownership of Newcastle. Look at Abu Dhabi of Man City. They were never going to buy a club and work with the Glazers. That was never going to happen. So if the Glazers were never going to sell, we were never going to get Qatar. Maybe they took Qatar for the ride to boost Sir Jim's price up. Who knows? But they were never going to sell. If Sir Jim had pulled out, they'd have done something with an American investment fund for 25% or somebody else. So I think we do. One thing we did learn yesterday that has really sort of been skirted over, but was there in black and white in the information that came out, is that there were other people or groups willing to invest. So actually, we were never getting a full sale. That was never going to happen. Sir Jim wanted a full sale as well. Let's be fair. Sir Jim wanted to buy all of the club, but he moved down because he wanted to get hold of something. He wanted a full sale, and he moved down from 100 to 70 to 50 to 27, which is what he's got now. So Sir Jim was willing to do that because he wanted to get hold of it. It's not just about the money for him. It's a vanity project, isn't it? He wants to have a part of the club because he loves the club, etc. Whereas for Qatar, they wanted the club, they loved the club, but they wanted all of it, and they weren't willing to move down. Now, if Sir Jim hadn't moved down or walked away, they wouldn't have sold to Qatar. They would have done a business. They would have done business with whoever else was willing to offer 25%. Now, I know there aren't many positives around United, but would you rather have 25% Sir Jim, who cares about the club and wants to do something with the club, or would you rather Sir Jim had pulled out as well, and we'd ended up with the Elliott Investment Group from America, who are just a bunch of people who want to make money? So there ain't many positives about not having a full sale, but there are positives that Ineos and Sir Jim did move down. Because if they'd said we only want a full sale, like Qatar, then that never would have happened. And I think they would have gone with an investment fund for 25%, because the Glazers were never going. They were never going to go. They just wanted somebody to come in and invest some money in and work with them. And the Elliott Group probably would have been that, who fucked up AC Milan, didn't they? So, yeah, look, if there's a silver lining on anything, that it is, I'd rather have Sir Jim and Ineos as a minority shareholder than an investment fund that's all about the money. Yeah, and that I suppose that's a bit of a positive. Ian Nicholl says Benzema, just Google him, so no. Yeah, okay. The Elliott Group did stabilise Milan and return them to the Champions League and top of Serie A, says Bradley. And Kevin's having an argument with Jake Harrison. I don't know what that's all about. So whose shares did Sir Jim buy? Was it Glazer shares or the other shareholders? Both A and B. Mac Attack. That was probably one of the issues. And Brian says their original statement clearly said they were looking for investment. Yeah, I think it said that sale as well as investment, if I ever remember right. Satyam says, do you think the few players would like the Glazers to be in charge? I don't think they massively care anyway, mate. Right, let's have a look at... I've enjoyed doing this the last few mornings, and I want to just go back to something that we were looking at yesterday around stats. So 2 days ago, we were talking about United being top of the league for offsides and long balls right at the top. Yesterday, we exposed the fact that you've got people like Mo Salah and Solanke and Watkins and Nunez having over 50 shots this season already in the Premier League, and Rasmus has only had 20, which is incredible, isn't it, for a Manchester United striker? Regardless of your name, the service just isn't happening. We are still endeavouring to get to the bottom of the sort of chances that Bruno Fernandes creates, considering he's the most creative player in the world at the moment this season. But another thing that somebody said last night was, Mark, could you go onto Y-Scout and have a look at the shot accuracies of our strikers comparable to others? So I've set some parameters here. You've got to have started. I've set it at 9 games. So you've got to have started 9 games for for any Premier League club this season, and then we're looking at shots on target percentage. So and we've just done it on 10s, wingers, and strikers. So the player with the best shots on target accuracy, and let me just add another filter in here because it will actually be better to know their shots as well. So Bernardo Silva has the best shots on target accuracy in the Premier League at the moment with 63%. He's only had 19 shots, so similar to Rasmus, but he's got 63% shots on target. So Bernardo Silva has got the best shot accuracy in the Premier League at the moment. Evan Ferguson is actually second. I mean, I like Ferguson. I really do like Ferguson. He's had 26 shots this season, 61% on target. There we go. You've got Isaac, who's got he's had 33 shots and he has a 58% accuracy. Erling Haaland has a 55% accuracy. Jared Bowen, 54% accuracy. And then you start dropping down to the 50s where you've got Salah, Jackson, Højlund, and Scott McTominay. There you go. There's a little bit of an insight for you. Scott McTominay, he's had more shots than Rasmus. He's had 28 to Rasmus's 20, but they both have a shot accuracy of 50%. McTominay's a good finisher in the box. That can't be disputed. Then you start moving down the list. Heung-min Son, 48%. Cole Palmer, 47%. Calvert-Lewin, 46%. Danny Welbeck, 46%. Maddison, 46%. Andros Townsend, 45%. At Luton Town. Jimenez, 45%. Watkins, 44%. Antonio, 44%. Darwin Nunez, 44%. Diaby, 44%. You keep moving down. We're skipping a few now. Edouard at Palace, 42%. Still can't find any other United players other than Rasmus and McTominay. Solanke's 41%. Hwang Hee-chan, 40%. Richarlison, 39%. We're talking about shot accuracy here on target. Saka, 38%. Anthony Gordon, 38%. Raheem Sterling, 37%. Martinelli, 37%. Diaz at Liverpool, 36%. Conor Gallagher at Chelsea, 36%. Cody Gakpo, 36%. We're still moving down, and then we get Bruno Fernandes, 34% shot accuracy. So he's way down, way down. He'll be shooting from distance, of course. So Bruno's next with 34%. Rashford, 31%. So our best 4 players for shot accuracy this season are Rasmus and McTominay on 50%, Bruno on 34%, and then Rashford on 31%. And I think this again just displays to me that when you compare it, and I can't even find Anthony. I don't even know where Anthony is. How has he not started 9 games? Maybe let me have a look. I can't find Anthony. Bruno Fernandes, Marcus Rashford, Conor Gallagher. No, I can't even find Anthony. He's not even in there. Broha has got 9% shot on target, by the way. So yeah, it is interesting. It is interesting because you've got a situation there where we don't create many chances. We don't create many chances for our striker, and our 2 most accurate finishers, or our two most accurate players for shots on target, are Scott McTominay and Rasmus Højlund. Bruno 34%, and you've got Marcus Rashford on 31%. We're back. Sorry, I've got to move back here. So United, who has been terminally classed as a twat on this live chat for ages and occasionally turns up with a super chat. So let's respect it. But this is a well-known prat in the chat. So let me just say this. Labelling the SEC documents as Glazer spin on X is a new low even for you. These are legal documents, not spin. Suggest you do some research. I suggest you turn in for the start of the show because you're late for a start and we've always been a 10 o'clock show. And I suggest you actually read what I said on Twitter. Beth basically put a tweet out about the SEC findings that the Qatar bid consistently failed to provide customary financing commitment letters. And I said, it's pure Glazer spin. They're clearly going to paint this decision as the best, which involves them staying. Either way, it matters not. They won. I stand by it. I stand by it. I'm talking about Glazer spin. I'm not talking about the SEC spin. The SEC can only deal with what they've got. That they are an institution that's been going for nearly 100 years. They can only deal with the information that they've got. I stand by what I said. Qatar have come out and said that it's not that it's not true either. So I stand by what I said. The Glazers have got to paint Qatar in a bad way because they're staying. It's the most logical bit of PR anybody can do. I don't for 1 minute think that the Qatari bid wasn't real. And the suggestion that some people out there have put it out there is amazing to me. And also what is amazing to me is that people in our fan base will believe the SEC because the Glazers have given them that information as, accurate. Let's wait and see. Let's wait and see if there is a corrective statement from the SEC in relation to what Qatar are saying. And if there isn't, then I am quite happy to say that information is clearly correct and Qatar have abided with it. And why didn't they provide the documentation? But I will stick by what I've said before. I'm happy to have this conversation. Bloomberg, Sky Business News, Reuters, comprehensively, almost weekly, spoke about the detail of the Qatari bid. You're telling me that they didn't have the money. You're telling me they didn't provide proof of funds to Manchester United. There's something fishy going on here. I'm sorry. I'm not actually massively bothered about it, by the way, because the Glazers have won. But there's something fishy going on here. It doesn't make any sense. And I'll go back to what I said before. And United had put you into this camp, so thank you very much for exposing that. What are you trying to prove, United? What is it you're trying to prove here? What's your one-upmanship? You didn't want Qatar. Well, you won that 3 months ago. You didn't want a full sale. Well done. You wanted the Glazers to stay. Well done. I don't actually understand what your argument is here, other than sticking a knife in to the Qatari bid, which some people have been doing for a long time. But it was the only offer on the table that wanted a full sale. I'm really confused by what United fans were protesting about for years about a full sale. Full sale, Glazers out. Full sale, Glazers out. Let's have a march. Let's get the banners out. Fantastic. Amazing. Let's get a game cancelled. Brilliant. Brilliant movements around the Glazer out movement. People using, massive amounts of pressure and exposure. Glazers out. Full sale. Where's that gone? Where's that gone? Where has that gone? Glazers out. Full sale. Aha, look at the Qatari bid. It wasn't even real. I'm so confused. I really am so confused. I don't understand it. I really don't get it at all. The Qatari bid wasn't real, look. Ha ha ha. Idiots. Idiots who wanted a full sale. Look at you. Sit down. Sit down. Smell my cheese, you mother. Look at that. Qatari bid wasn't real. Ha 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 ha. We got what we wanted. The Glazers staying. I'm confused. I'm really confused. So the one bid that represented a full sale, you're mocking it because it wasn't real, and you're celebrating that it wasn't real so you can stay with the Glazers that you're all tweeting and protesting about for the last few years. I'm confused. I'm confused. Which is why, as I said, for me, I've got nothing left on this. The Glazers have won. Ineos are here. Let's pray it's going to work because I've got nothing left. I can't argue about the sale anymore. It's over. It's been over for me for 3 months. I know what happened. The Glazers have won. We've got a slim chance with Sir Jim, and I hope it works. But yeah, I don't really even get what the celebration is here. I'm so confused. Anyway, it's boring, says Northwest. Yes, Benzema's coming to Arsenal. He is the final jigsaw. I tell you what, Zane, and I will say this. We've not heard from you for ages, so Happy New Year. I will say this to you, Zane, right now. He could well go to Arsenal. And if Arsenal get Benzema, I think that would be an amazing bit of business for them. I would be all over that biz. Why not? Why not? If he wants to leave and Henderson's got out, he could get out. He could come to Man United, but you'd probably go to Arsenal. You'd go to Arsenal over Man United. Champions League football, title race. Of course you would. But I don't know. Thanks everyone for watching. Look, respect. Respect is the big thing. I get it. We've covered everything here. We've covered what the SEC is. We've covered what's being accused of Qatar. We've covered what they've said back. If you have a horse in the race, good luck. Well done. I hope you win whatever race that is. I don't understand what the race is you're trying to win. We've covered it. It's a news show. I really don't care. I really don't care. I don't understand what we're arguing about anyway. It's got nothing to do with Ineos, and that's the future, and we need to hope it is a good future. Take care, everyone. Smash a like on video, and we'll speak to you all in a bit. Thank you very much for watching. More importantly, let's hope to see some movement in the striker situation, because we've got one we want to get rid of who's not even fit, and there are opportunities that we can do. And as I said, I'll leave you with this morning. Yesterday morning, I put a tweet out saying, expect movement in the striker situation over the next 10 days. It's 9 days now. Within hours of that, it came out that Martial has been frozen out and that United are looking at strikers. The information is good. Let's see what happens. Take care. Speak to you all in a bit.